Welcome to the Want to Learn podcast. I'm your host, Francis Tapon. In this episode, I'm going to be answering some of my listener questions. First thing off is a question by Ryan. He asked me, do you have any book recommendations? I read a lot. I try to read a book a week. One of the recent books I read was by my favorite author, which is Bill Bryson. He's my hero. I love him because not just for his travel writing, but also because he injects humor in his travel writing. In fact, all his writing. So I also was a big fan of A History of Nearly Everything, one of his classic books. And I read The Body, which really delves into every piece of the body. And it's an owner's manual. We all have bodies. It's something that we should all pay attention to. I've heard that The Gates of Fire is a great book. I haven't read it yet. That's also on my list. I'm also a fan of space and space exploration because as a traveler, that's what we like to do. We like to go out in space. And the ultimate voyage, that's one thing that irks me, is that I was born in the wrong century, assuming we don't destroy ourselves. But it would be lovely to be living 1,000 years from now when we've really been able to colonize space pretty effectively, or at least much more than we have today. Robert Zubrin is a great author who makes a book. He's written a book called The Case for Space, How the Revolution in Spaceflight Opens Up a Future of Limitless Possibility. This book is another great book because, well, it outlines the financial benefits, the societal benefits that we have from exploring space, and sometimes it's forgotten. Another question I got was from a listener who said, "Hey Francis, I hope all is well. I was wondering, how do you prepare and train for your mountain climbing and hiking? I am overweight. I've done mostly day hikes. The highest point I've reached is 8,750 feet. I was strolling through YouTube and I saw your Tour de Mont Blanc, which I thought was really nice, but I'm not sure about how to handle these kinds of journeys since they seem pretty strenuous for a beginner. I've been trying to do lifestyle modifications, diet and exercise, and wondering if you have any tips or thoughts. El Camino Primitivo is on my list as well. Do you have any workouts, preparation, physically, before you go out on your treks and climbs?" Well, first of all, I salute you for actually getting out of the house and wanting to exercise, because a lot of people, that's step one, and they can't even do step one, is actually looking themselves in the mirror or maybe they're not looking at themselves in the mirror. Maybe they look fine on the mirror, but the bottom line is when they walk up 2 flights of stairs, they're like, totally exhausted. To me, either one of those things are signs that you need more exercise in your life, and it's a fabulous benefit. So how do you prepare for some of my crazy hikes and things I've done? Usually it's pretty simple. I like to run. And I realize running is a bit high impact for certain people, but running gives you the best bang for your buck in the sense that you get the most amount of calorie burns for every 10 minutes of exercise. So nothing beats it. So in that sense, if you can run, then run. Now, what if you're either got bad joints or you are so out of shape that running is impossible? No problem. Walking. Do walking and just walk as much as you can. Walk as fast as you can. And maybe eventually you'll get to the point that you'll be able to run. The second thing that I'm a big fan of is weightlifting and strength resistance training. Now, I travel a lot and I usually don't have weights around with me. Sometimes I stay at a house or a place that maybe has a gym or whatever, but you can simply do push-ups, you can do planks, you can do all sorts of resistance exercises. I put 2 chairs next to each other and grab on the top of the chair and do dips, or you can get on the countertop of a kitchen and grab another chair or something like that. You can always do things to do either dips, sit-ups, pull-ups. There's all sorts of things you can do without having to spend money on expensive gym membership or have expensive equipment or a personal trainer. But I'm a big fan of weightlifting because 1 kilogram of muscle burns 25 times more calories than 1 kilogram of fat. And so just being a couch potato, you'll be burning way more calories if you have muscle on your body than if you do not have muscle on your body. So I'm a big fan of building a certain amount of muscle. And a lot of women have this notion that, oh no, I don't want to lift weights because I'm going to get bulky. It's really, really hard to get bulky, especially if you're a woman. But for me even, I can't put on that much bulk myself, and I lift a lot more weights than probably most people do. And yet it's really a struggle for me to add bulk. So forget about that notion. Weightlifting helps prevent injuries because when you fall over or twist, your muscles are there to support you. And so it's just a wonderful way. And finally, nothing sculpts the body like weightlifting. You can run all you want, do all the exercises you want, all the cardiovascular, you can ride bikes, whatever, you can do that to death. But if you want a sculpted body, you have to lift weights. It's really the easiest and shortest way to get to there. You can be 70 years old and weightlift, and it's good for you. So strength resistance training, it builds up bone density, it helps prevent injuries. It's just a godsend. And you don't need to do much weightlifting. You can just do 15 minutes a day, and that's something. Strength resistance training. The trick is when you're doing it, jump from exercise to exercise. That's the way to be efficient. What a lot of people do is that they'll, bench press and then sit around, looking at their phone in the gym for the next 2-3 minutes between sets. Forget that. Do your set, immediately work on a completely different muscle, and maybe do even a third muscle and just do a little circuit between 2 to 3 different exercises. And it can be opposing muscles. So for example, you can do your bicep curls and then immediately afterwards do tricep extensions. You can work your quads and your legs and then immediately afterwards do your hamstrings. What's even better is you do your biceps and then your legs. And then you do your triceps, and then you do a different part of your leg. The point is that you want to rotate between exercises. So that way you get more stuff done in the same amount of time. And we're all short on time, and that's a great way to be efficient in your workouts. And so, summarize, all you need to do is run or at least walk for at least 30 minutes every single day. And then do at least 15 minutes of strength resistance training every single day. If you do that, you'll be prepared for almost any adventure. You can walk across Madagascar. You can go walk across the United States. It's from then on, everything else is easy. So I hope that helps. Another question I got from Tammy. She says, I had no idea Swaziland had changed its name to Eswatini. Do you have a point of reference as to why, or were you aware of it? Swaziland did rebrand itself to Eswatini. Now here's the problem. Is that I think a lot of times people who have groups or countries that have underperformed or have a bad reputation, they try to take the shortcut to changing that reputation. And what's the shortcut? Is to rebrand yourself. And rebranding is really what it just is. It's just a band-aid. It's a superficial change. For example, Eastern Europe has a lousy connotation. And so people have been saying, no, we're not Eastern Europe, we're Central Europe. Or, Eastern Europe is not in whatever region I happen to live in. And so, or some people call it the New Europe. The point is that, all right, why don't you change the fundamentals of Eastern Europe, and then the connotation that it has will change. Zaire changed its name to the Democratic Republic of Congo, something that's not really democratic, and confusingly called the Democratic Republic of Congo when their neighboring small country is called the Republic of Congo. So it was just a rebranding for what? Who cares? It just doesn't really change much at all. And same thing with Eswatini. Fine, you want to call yourselves Eswatini, we'll go ahead and do that. But I just don't think it's going to change things on a fundamental level, which is what is far more important than whatever rebranding efforts. And the same thing goes with Eastern Europe. People want to call it the New Europe. They want to call it Central Europe. Who cares? In the end, what matters is, why don't you focus on the fundamentals, and so that our perception changes. And trying to just change the name is, in my opinion, simply a shortcut that will never amount to anything. And some people do the same thing with their personality. They or themselves. They say, no, I just want to change my name Changing your name is one thing. Change fundamentally who you are. I realize it's a symbolic gesture to change your name, of your country, of your region, of your name, or whatever. But ultimately, sometimes we think that that's good enough. And sometimes you need something that's much more profound as a transformation. And how do you transform yourself? Well, that's my favorite subject, which is go out there and travel. Go out there and go shake up the things. Go do something different. I hope this podcast has been helpful for you. If so, give me a thumbs up on YouTube or like and subscribe, and share this with your friends. Become a patron at patreon.com/ftapon. This is France Tapon, encouraging you to wander and learn.